Hey guys, Jeff with Top Star Mobile Detailing, Las Vegas, where average is the enemy. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to do an exterior detail. We're going to go into it step by step. Some of you have been asking me to do some of these step-by-step processes that I follow. So with that being said, let's jump into the video. So guys, usually we would start off with doing the wheels here. Actually made a separate video for just the wheels and a step-by-step process on that. We're going to kind of put these together in a playlist for you, so you can start off with the wheels video, move into the exterior video. So let's get started. Okay, so the first step, what I like to do is we're going to start off with foaming the car. I already have my foam cannon set up with a little bit of water and some GSF by Coach Kemi. It's gentle snow foam. And what we're going to do is just kind of spray down the car with the foam. I'm going to stretch this out here. Okay guys, now that we got the car foamed up, we're going to remove the foam cannon, switch back to the pressure washer. I like to use the yellow tip on these. Sometimes I'll use the white. It just depends. The white's going to give you a kind of a wider spread. The yellow is going to give you a little bit more narrow spread, but you can reach a little bit further with the spray on that as well. Okay, so we get that set up. So we're just filling up the bucket with our soapy water here so we can wash the vehicle.
All right, Jeff. So this process of foaming, cleaning, depends on how dirty the car is, or is this every single time you detail?
Yeah, so that's a good question. You know, the standard process is to foam the vehicle down, let the foam kind of drag down the dirt, rinse off the entire vehicle, and then refoam it and wash it again with the sponges. This vehicle is really clean. We already foamed it. I'm just gonna jump right in with the sponges on this one, and then we're gonna rinse it off. So you can kind of vary the process a little bit depending on the vehicle's condition, how dirty it is, what the weather's like outside. You know, you really just adjust the process to the vehicle, the conditions, and what works best for you in that specific scenario. There really is no exact right or wrong way to do it. So I like to start from the top of the vehicle and work my way down. I will usually use one of these little extender poles with the wash mitt on the surface here. These are really soft microfiber mitts too, so these are fine to use for this process. I like these for the roof. It saves you from having to get up on a little step ladder, especially if you're a shorter king. This just helps you reach the roof line really easy. And again, guys, when you're washing the vehicle, it's very light pressure. I'm not pushing down on this like scrubbing or anything like that. That's how you can scratch the paint. If you just let the weight of it go and then just drag it, straight lines back and forth, you're not swirling it around, you're not going to do any damage. You're not going to scratch the paint. The foam's providing a lubricant between the microfiber and the paint, and it's very, very light pressure here. Okay, we're like halfway around the vehicle. I'm going to just dunk this in the bucket and give it a rinse. I like to do this a couple times throughout the process.
Now, Jeff, there's some detailers out there that don't have spot-free water, DI water, their tanks. Do you think it's safe to use hose water or never?
You know, it depends on where you're at. It depends on the market that you're in and the quality of the water. Here in Vegas, I would say never. It's a no-go. If you don't have spot-free water, I would not recommend detail, at least on a professional level anyway. You know what I mean? If you're a do-it-yourselfer and you're just doing your own car in the driveway, maybe you do it early morning or later in the evening. But again, the water here is really, really bad. It's hard water. There's a lot of sediment. It will leave spots on the vehicle if you don't get all that water off. So I don't recommend it. If you're a professional and you're charging people money for your service, you should use spot-free water. It's the thing to do. You want to be using deionized spot-free water. I feel like that's built into the price of the packages, and you really need to be using that in order to get the best results. One of the things I like to do is I usually keep about 6 or 7 wash mitts in the vehicle, and I'll just cycle through those as I go around. There's a grit guard in the bottom, so all of the dirt is going to fall to the bottom of the bucket, and it just makes it an easier, shorter process of working your way around the vehicle. You know, I'll get into sections, go through part of the vehicle, and then I'll just switch mitts. So you don't have to spend a lot of time washing one mitt over and over again against the grit guard trying to get out all the dirt, you know?
All right, Jeff. So I actually work with a couple detailers. One mitt for the whole car. What do you guys say about that? Everybody their own, or they're ruining their clients, or?
You know, it depends on the vehicle, realistically. Like, if I'm doing a vehicle like this or a high-end vehicle, I'm using multiple mitts. If it's an old beater, you know, that's 15, 20 years old and the paint's pretty thrashed, you know, it's not gonna make a difference one way or the other, whether you're using 1 mitt, 3 mitts, or 20 mitts. It's, you know, at that point, you're not really worried about what a mitt's gonna do to the paint, right? However, on vehicles like this, or, you know, higher end vehicles where that could be a factor, I like to go on the side of caution and go through multiple mitts on that. Always have a grit guard in the bucket just to make sure that the dirt's falling to the bottom and getting trapped. That's just my opinion on it. Let me know what you guys think. Okay guys, so now that the vehicle's all soaped up, we went around the whole vehicle with the wash mitts, wiped it all down, it's clean. Next stage, we're gonna rinse everything down. We're getting a little bit of sunlight coming in from this side, so we're gonna rinse where the sun's hitting it first, because that's where you would get the soap spots where the sun's hitting it, and it's gonna heat up those panels faster. So I like to rinse the sunny areas first. So one of the things that you might notice on the hood here is it's not really beading up at all. It's pretty flat, right? So normally I would put on like a wet coat or something at this point where we would add that to the detail. In this particular scenario, we're gonna skip that step because we're actually gonna be ceramic coating this vehicle. So we want it as stripped down as possible. It doesn't make sense to put that product on now and then have to remove it later, right? So, but normally at this point in the process, I would go around the vehicle and spray it down with wet coat, or you could use another product of your choice, and that's gonna give it that protection where it's gonna make the water bead up, kind of roll right off the vehicle. You'll probably see that in a lot of the other videos that we've done, but for the example here, we're going to be polishing and then ceramic coating this vehicle in the next couple of videos. So I purposely skipped that step in case you guys are wondering. Okay, this stage of the vehicle, we're gonna be drying the vehicle. I actually just got some new drying towels. We just had Black Friday recently, so I ordered a bunch of stuff on Amazon. A good way to tell when your towels are starting to get kind of like they need to be replaced is you'll start seeing all these little strings and catches and stuff like this, but also the feel of the towel. It'll have almost like not a crusty, but kind of like a crusty feel to it, to where you'll notice when you're using your towel and it's not absorbing water the way that it used to. You know, you can get away with a few months on these. This is probably close to 6 months old, but once they get to this point, that's when I downgrade these towels to, say, like a door jamb towel or your rims or something. It gets to this point, you don't really want to be using it on paint anymore, because even though it's a microfiber towel, once it gets to that stage, it's too degraded and it actually can start to scratch the paint. So I like to get new towels at least once every 6 months, usually probably closer to every 3 months realistically for me. And you can feel the difference. Like, I know you can't feel it through the camera, but feeling the texture on this versus the texture on this, you will notice a difference. If you try it with one of your older towels versus a brand new towel, it has a much softer, much more absorbent feel to it. So, you know, I like to swap out and have really new towels for this. So we're gonna be using a new towel on this vehicle today. I like to start, again, from the top down, but I like to start with the glass first and dry that. Normally with a little bit of wet coat or something, the vehicle's gonna dry a lot easier too. It doesn't really have anything on there right now. I like to get the towel wet before you start using it on the paint. Otherwise, you're gonna have that, when you drag it on the paint, it's gonna make like that screechy kind of sound where it's too much friction. But if you get the towel wet first on the glass, it just needs to be slightly damp to where it's gonna cut the friction down when you slide it on the paint, and you're not gonna have any issues. And this towel is really soft anyway. I mean, it's not really gonna scratch as long as you're not putting a ton of pressure on it or going in swirl motions, you're just going in straight lines. Another thing you wanna be careful for is these pillars here. These scratch very easily. So when you're drying these, soft, straight lines. Don't just go swirling around on these. Don't put a lot of pressure on those. They will scratch very easily. The cool thing about these Dreadnought towels too is they come in different colors. So for me, I like to buy them in groups and color code them. Like for example, I just got 5 of these in the gray, and I know when I got them. So it's like December. I know that I'm gonna get probably till around May out of these, and then I'll switch colors. Same thing with the green ones, or you might have noticed in other videos, I'm using blue ones or red ones. I go by when I bought them and how long they last. It makes it easier for me to, when I just look at the towel and I go, that's a green towel, that's 6 months old. Don't want to use that. A blue towel is maybe 3 months old, you know, so for me, that's the system that I use to keeping track of my towels and how old they are, when they need to be replaced. It's one of the things I like about the Dreadnought towels. So now that the exterior of the vehicle is dry, I'm gonna take that same towel that I just showed you guys. This is now downgraded to a door jamb towel. So you see here where you get the water along the edges of the door jamb. You wanna dry this up before you present it to the client, right? Even if it's just an exterior detail, some people would consider this part of the interior. I do it no matter what. If they're doing the interior, I do the door jambs. If they're doing the exterior, I still do the door jambs, because if not, when they open the door and it's all dirty in here, it's not presentable, and it just doesn't look great. Let me know what you guys think on that. Do you consider the door jambs as part of the interior, part of the exterior? Do you only do it with one or the other, or you just do it for both?
All right, Jeff, we're talking about the drying process, trying to get every drip of water. This just happened to one of my detailers. One of his clients got upset because as soon as they drove away, they started noticing all the drips. They were upset that the car wasn't 100% dried. Is that realistic, or did the detailer do a bad job?
That's a good question. Again, it's one of the reasons why in the winter time, if I'm doing a full detail, I'll do the exterior first, because you get that extra time for it to dry out and all the little cracks and crevices. Summertime, it's not really an issue here in Vegas because the temps are triple digits and stuff dries out like that. But I will usually take the air tool and I'll just go through the cracks, the door handles, the windows, and try to blow out as much as possible. That's usually going to prevent that from happening. It can't always prevent that 100% of the time. It could happen. And is it really the end of the world if a drip comes out? I mean, it should be spot-free water. If the detailer's using deionized spot-free water, it shouldn't be that big of a deal, really. I think maybe you give your customer a microfiber cloth, and just tell them, hey, if any drips come out, here's a microfiber for you. Cost probably less than $1 to give them a towel, and if anything drips out, they can just dry it up, But it is common that can happen. I've had that happen too. But let me know what you guys think on that. Have you ever had a customer with the issue with the water drips coming out after you leave or after they move the vehicle? What are your thoughts on that? So the last step for the exterior of the vehicle is going to be to put the shine on the tires. What I like to do on this, I just put some on the applicator like you see here. And then we're just going to apply that to the rubber of the tire. Go around the whole wheel. Want to kind of get your thumb up to that edge of the rim there where you just get the shine right up close. That's accuracy there. But if you did get some of this on the rim, say you left a black smear like that where you weren't paying attention, you just want to give it a once over before you present it to the client. And I like to just take the towel and go around the seam like that to make sure that you got all the residue off of the actual rim. And that concludes the exterior detail. So that's the process that I follow for my express exterior detail. You got to pretty much witness everything except me putting on the wet coat. Like I said, we are going to be doing a polish paint enhancement on this with a ceramic coating, so we skipped that step. But that's it, guys. Let me know what you think if you have things that you do differently, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.